Student activism is a great thing in the United States. It shows that young adults care about what is going on in their country and their school. We should be grateful to live in a country that allows so much free activism to go on. We are allowed to have activism because it's one of our civil rights that the Bill of Rights has granted us, and our founding fathers knew that we needed. Student activism in the United States has been around for a very long time. Researchers, politicians, and the public have criticized colleges and universities for not effectively preparing college students to be active participants in their communities and within a democratic society. Activism has helped students connect to their communities because it shows them what is going on. The modern era of student activism started in the 1930s when the National Student League joined with the American Student Union. During the peak of their movement from the spring of 1936 to the spring of 1939, the organization had an annual strike against war that mobilized about 500,000 students. This effort also helped support a reform which included federal aid to education, government jobs, and programs for the youth, and many other things. Now, let's see what some people on the ASU campus feel about student activism.
So, what is your name and title with Amnesty?
My name is Savannah Pinnell, and I'm a student activist coordinator for Amnesty International USA, and I'm one of the co-presidents for Amnesty International ASU.
How would you define student activism?
Student activism to me would be just students in general getting involved with different issues, whether they be like social justice issues or human rights issues, anything that really falls under that umbrella, and things that they are doing like on their individual campuses and how those relate to one another.
Okay, and why is student activism important?
Student activism is important, firstly being because it can expose people to different topics and issues that maybe they hadn't like already known about. It's also important because we're the voice of our generation. And it is important that we like know about these things, that way we can make better decisions about our futures, and one day when we are out in the real world we can take what we've learned here in our activism work and apply it to what we are doing then.
Okay, how does student activism tie into current campus culture?
I think that student activism ties very much into like current student culture, just in that, like for example at ASU we have a lot of activist groups for a lot of different things, like for Black Lives Matter, or for instance Amnesty International, or different like feminist groups or like women's groups. So there's a lot going on campus right now, especially with like current political occurrences. So especially like on our campus, it's very like active and very prominent right now.
Okay, cool. What was one prominent issue on ASU's campus, and how did student activism contribute to the conversation?
There's been a lot of really prominent topics on our campus. One of the biggest ones has been the issue of sexual assault. And there have been many student groups who have had different campaigns on the issue, just talking about like how that relates to us as students and what that means for us and how we should conduct ourselves basically, and just kind of like informing people on what the issues are. and just really like getting the education out there, and also like pushing, it's like this momentum is like pushed the university to kind of like take a stance on this topic. So that has probably been one of the biggest issues on campus right now.
Okay. And lastly, what is your involvement in student activism?
My involvement primarily is for student activism is primarily through the Amnesty International chapter on ASU's campus. I also work with a couple of different high school chapters here in Arizona and in California, just to kind of help them get like the resources and the information that they need to like spread information and awareness on their campus. I've also been involved with a few other organizations on campus, such as Women as Hero, and I've done a few things with United Students Against Sweatshops. So I try to be involved in as many different things as I can.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Why shifting? A lot of my children right now, they're going through anxiety, depression. They're going through the lack of resources. There's nothing in our community to do. So the only thing there's to do is to smoke weed. So that's what our children are doing. And so the gun violence and the state-sanctioned violence that we're seeing, the police brutality, that's all part of the same system. There's no preventative measures in our community. There's no one to help bring those resources in so that these kids can see another way. So what I am here to ask and compel you all to do is to organize in your communities. To organize and talk to each other. To feel uncomfortable. Because racism and talking, breaking down this whole system is going to be uncomfortable. Because you are going to see that some of the things you did was racist. You know? And that's all right. It's completely okay. But to know that there is a problem and that you are willing to change that problem, see, that's the first step. And that's what's going on in America. Nobody's acknowledging that there is a problem. So us, these folks in the room right now, we are those voices. We are those protectors. We are those people who are sent out there to show and to tell folks what is really going on with this system, what is really going on in Pakistan, what's really going on in the hood, what's really going on in Africa. We need to, and that's how we unite it all, because we see that this is all a common suffering, all suffering the same suffering. I mean, the same thing, you know? And state-sanctioned violence, when we start thinking that the system is broken, we'll be better off too. Because the system is not broken. It's working as it intended to be to work. See, this system was placed to suppress and oppress certain voices and to uplift certain people. And certain people, I mean white America. Okay?
Of course, there are still some people that don't think too highly about student activism. For example, Tommy Lorraine said that the Trump protests were just a bunch of sore losers and that they were throwing a tantrum. But to us students, it's a way we can show what we truly believe in and what we think is right for our country. Students are taking time out of their busy life fighting for what they think is right. These students could be doing a lot worse in life, like committing violent crimes. These kids were not doing anything that put other people in harm's way. We should have great respect for these kids, even if you don't agree with their views, because they are doing more than you by publicly showing what they believe is right.